Every year, 1st May is celebrated as Labor Day across the world. That includes the history of May Day in workers' rights, the Hay Market Affair, and why do we need International Workers' Day? How is Workers' Day celebrated now? First of all, we need to look into the history of May Day and workers' rights. The celebration of the first Monday in September as a holiday is a creation of the labor movement and is dedicated to the social and economic achievements of American workers, according to the U.S. Department of Labor. But in the mid 1890s, Samuel Gompers, the founder of the American Federation of Labor, noted that Labor Day differs in every essential way from the other holidays of the year in any country. All other holidays are in a more or less degree connected with conflicts and battles of men, purpose over men, of strife and discord for greed and power. Labor Day is devoted to no man, living or dead, to no sect, race, or nation. At that time, the only widely accepted days off for workers, other than Sundays, were Christmas, New Year's Day, and Thanksgiving. Workers received no pay for those holidays, but with so many willing to take leave without pay or LWFP, employees were unable to run their business and simply shut down. Taking the day off in order to make a basic living, the average American worker in the late 19th century labored 12-hour days, 6 days a week. Sundays were recognized as a day of rest, but there were no laws limiting the number of hours or days, nor were there incentives for employers to offer time off. One of the major goals of the organizations that made up the fielding labor movement was to win a restriction on the hours of work. Planners wanted to call attention to abusive employment practices such as child labor and were seeking laws to promote the idea of a 10-hour workday. The Central Labor Union organized more than 10,000 workers in a march from City Hall near Wall Street to Union Square, 2 miles uptown. The purpose of the parade was to exhibit to the public the strength and spirit, the corpus of the trade and labor organizations. It was followed by street survival as well as festival for the workers, most of whom were on unauthorized leave and risked being fired and their families. Later on, state sanctioned, although the first bill recognizing the holiday was introduced in New York, the first statewide Labor Day law was passed by the Oregon legislature on February 21st, 1887. By the end of the 1880s, nearly 30 states had followed suit. Many of the celebrations featured speeches and demonstrations calling for a national holiday, with these calls for federal recognition becoming more vocal each year. But it took a labor debacle from the establishment of a federal day in labor's honor. The American Railway Union, a single organization that represented all crafts of railroad employees, was formed in March 1893. This Great Northern Railroad made the first of 3 rounds of wage cuts. After the third pay cut in March 1894, members voted to strike and shut down the rail line for 18 days, until thousands of railway workers soon had joined the protest, including a large number of Pullman Palace car manufacturing employees. In May 1894, after wage cuts at the Chicago plant, the Pullman local went on strike and the ARU voted to refuse to work any trains that included the company's cars. The railroad companies responded by attacking Pullman cars to use mail trains. Once the boycott was shown to be delaying the mail, a court ordered ARU members back to work. When the judicial directive was ignored, President Grover Cleveland sent in federal troops and famously said, "If it takes the entire Army and Navy of the United States to deliver a postal card in Chicago, that card will be delivered." After nearly 2 months of sporadic incidents of arson and looting while soldiers helped move the mail, the strike collapsed. In the aftermath, labor leaders were sent to prison, the railway union was disbanded, and Pullman employees were forced to pledge that they never again would unionize. Despite the disastrous outcome of the strike, Cleveland was prevailed upon to sign a Labor Day bill that Congress had approved at the height of the unrest. And finally, the bill was voted to honor the original Labor Day parade of 1882 and was set for the first Monday in September. But the selection of September for the observance of Labor Day may have had more to do with a desire to avoid having it coincide with May Day. That day later on in May, Haymarket affair, that day in May in some places May Day is a light-hearted celebration of spring, but in many countries International Workers' Day is a national holiday originally associated with political protests and street rallies. Although some were organized by workers and their trade unions, anarchists and socialists often played a strong role. It was at a gathering of socialists in Paris in 1889 that May Day was established as a commemoration of the Haymarket incident in Chicago in early May of 1886. 4 strikers had been killed at a manufacturing plant following a city-wide protest in support of the 8-hour day, and a rally at Haymarket Square was planned to honor the victims, organized largely by anarchists. It culminated in an explosion that killed a policeman and led to a riot during which at least a dozen police officers and demonstrators were killed by gunfire. Later on, the world saw as out of the Depression in the United States, the Fair Labor Standards Act of 1938 is considered the main pay law of the land because it regulates minimum wage and overtime pay at the federal level. But this law does not require holiday pay or time off. However, with all levels of the government routinely closing public offices on legal holidays. The main objectives of these workers included to refuse to work as a way of protesting about pay or working conditions, the money you receive when you are ill and unable to go to work, support for an agreement with other people, an amount of money that is paid to a person by the government after they have reached the age when people stop working. To organize and work together to achieve a goal, an organization of workers that protects workers' rights, and a particular amount of money that is paid to a worker per hour, week, or month. Last but not the least, the money you receive when you lose your job because you are not needed anymore. Now the question is, why do we need International Workers' Day? International Workers' Day is a celebration of working people and a day when people campaign for decent work and fair pay. Thanks to action taken by workers over many years, millions of people have won fundamental rights and protections. Minimum wages have been established, there are limits on working hours, and people have the right to paid holidays and sick pay. However, in recent years, working conditions in many situations have got worse. Since the global financial crisis of 2008, part-time, short-term, and badly paid work has become more common and state pensions are at risk. We have also seen the rise of the gig economy where companies hire workers casually for one short job at a time. How is Workers' Day celebrated now? Celebrations and protests take place in different ways in different countries around the world. May 1st is a public holiday in countries such as South Africa, Tunisia, Tanzania, Zimbabwe, and China. In many countries including France, Greece, Japan, Pakistan, the United Kingdom, and the United States, there are demonstrations on International Workers' Day. Workers' Day is a day for working people to have a rest from their usual labor. It is an opportunity to campaign for workers' rights, show solidarity with other working people, and to celebrate the achievements of workers all over the world. Certain known facts about Labor Day: the holiday has been celebrated since 1882. The first celebrated U.S. Labor Day was on Tuesday, September 5, 1882 in New York City, planned by the Central Labor Union, United States Department of Labor. Labor Day History 2014. Another fact includes 10,000 workers marched from City Hall all the way to 42nd Street and then meet with their families in Wendell's Elm Park for a picnic, concert, and speeches. Canada is said to have originated the idea of hosting a day honoring the labor movement. In 1872, they held a 9-hour movement to show support for striking workers. There is disagreement about who actually proposed Labor Day as a holiday. Some say it was Peter G. McGuire, who was the co-founder of the American Federation of Labor. Oregon was the first state to celebrate Labor Day as a legal holiday in 1887. The decision to make Labor Day the first Monday of September was approved on June 28, 1894. Having these facts about Labor Day, historians say the expression "no white after Labor Day" comes from when the upper class would return from their summer vacations and stuff away their lightweight white summer clothes as they returned back to school and work. There is still a Labor Day parade in New York City which takes place throughout the 20 blocks north of the 1882 Labor March.